My, how a month passes, doesn't it? It goes quickly, and Representative Jim Struzzi is with us again.
Well, good morning, Todd. Yeah, I have to say that so much happens in a week right now. When you're in Harrisburg on session days, I swear it's like you work an entire week in 2 days. So it's just an intense, exciting atmosphere.
Things aren't slowing down either, are they?
They certainly aren't. They certainly aren't. I'm just thrilled to be here, to be back in Indiana, to have this opportunity. I thank all the voters in Indiana County for putting me in Harrisburg. I'm really excited to dig in and make a difference, and we're doing that already. I know we're going to get into some different things here this morning, but overall, the first month has just been really rewarding to me, refreshing. Meeting all of my co-legislators and lawmakers, I think there's really a great will among both sides of the House to get some good things done for Pennsylvania right now, a lot of things that will help us here in Indiana County. But overall, it's just been a great experience so far, and I'm super excited to make a difference for the people in Indiana County.
All right, so let's dig down a little bit on some of these issues. Of course, the budget address was on Tuesday. And
yes.
We got your reaction comments right after it. Now you've had a couple of days to chew on it a little bit. Of course, you're a member of the Appropriations Committee, so you're going to be a big part of these conversations. With a night's rest on it,
yes.
Tell me your latest impressions on this budget.
Well, being on appropriations is a huge honor. Very few freshmen get that opportunity, but that also gives me the opportunity to really serve as a check and balance for the budget process to make sure that Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely in the best manner that we possibly can. As you dig into the budget overall, the first impression, it looks like a good thing. There's a lot of focus on workforce, which is one of our big issues here in Indiana County. There's a focus on mental health, on children and youth, on early education. All those things sound good on the surface, and they are good on the surface, but we have to make sure that we have the money to pay for that. We can't increase spending as the governor tends to do in each budget each year. I think we're a bit closer from a starting point this year than we have been in the past, but again, being on appropriations, we're going to dig into those numbers. We're going to make sure that we can fund the programs that need funded without any tax increases, without additional spending of money that we don't have. Just because we have what looks like right now a surplus in revenues, the way they're coming in right now, I think the governor's projecting a bit more than we see, at least from the appropriations side, at least from a more fiscally responsible Republican caucus side. So we have to make sure that what he is proposing can be funded without additional spending, without additional taxes.
All right, so we look at some of the proposals, and education funding is one of those things. School property taxes have been big with you right from the start. The story today about what the funding would mean. According to the budget, the very modest increases for school districts across Indiana County. And, of course, the fact that Pennsylvania pays a very low proportion of the actual funding for each school district. 56% of the funding of a school district falls on the backs of property owners.
And I would tell you, Todd, that it's very... For me, talking with some of my fellow legislators on both sides of the aisle, both new and those who have been there for a number of years, there is a will to do something to eliminate property taxes across Pennsylvania. The problem comes in as to how do we do that? Where does the funding come from? And that's the real challenge. Everyone knows that property taxes are a problem. And I'm rolling up my sleeves and aligning myself with some of my fellow reps that want to get this done. But again, it gets back to, where are we going to find the money to fund education? And we have to be able to do that. And we definitely have to take the burden off of Pennsylvania property owners. And I think, all four corners of the state, I've heard from different representatives who want to see this happen because, the issues that we have here in Indiana County are shared across the Commonwealth, particularly with senior citizens. And that's one of the big things that we pushed for, during the campaign, and that's going to be a promise that I hold to. And so, I'm trying to work with representatives that have been there for a number of years, who have been through this process before, who have seen, House Bill 76 go through the process and ultimately not get passed. So they understand the do's and don'ts of trying to get this done. But I think there's definitely a strong will to get it done. The question is, how do we adequately fund education? And obviously that's the most important bottom line, is making sure that our young people have the educations that they need and deserve here.
Trying to find the money is a theme. The governor is looking for money.
Yes.
Of course, the Republicans, everybody's looking for the money to fund the programs in Pennsylvania. In the governor's case, a couple of things he noted. First of all, severance taxes. Every budget he's proposed has included a severance tax. He's got all kinds of spending plans out there.
Yes.
And he's already figured out how he wants to spend the money. we got to figure out if
exactly
if the money is there, and the severance tax is one of the things.
And that is our job as the Appropriations Committee, to make sure that the budget is balanced and it doesn't overspend what we don't have. And that's been a trend with the governor since he took office. I think this year I think his approach is a little bit more moderate, and I think that there's common ground. I think we can reach a balanced budget more easily than in years past. But there's a lot of things. You mentioned the severance tax, and I remain adamantly opposed to that. I don't think that's the right thing to do to an industry that's finally starting to get some feet back under it. We're seeing a good increase in activity. We're seeing more jobs coming in because of the way the economy is going right now. And let's not beat around the bush. The reason that we have a revenue right now within the Commonwealth is because of the tax changes that occurred, the federal tax changes. Businesses are doing better. More people are working. There's more jobs out there. Revenues right now, it look like we're going to have a nice surplus to go into the coming budget, but we don't just want to go out there and spend that. We have to do it wisely. There's a number of things in the budget that we scratch our heads a little bit. The increasing of the minimum wage. They're projecting, $100+ million as far as revenue coming from increasing the minimum wage, but I don't think that takes into account the jobs that will be lost, and that's what will happen. For small businesses, particularly here in Indiana County, I know back to my chamber days, we did a survey of businesses when it was proposed a couple of years ago, and how do you pay the additional money when $12 is a lot? It's a big increase for a small business. Do you if you have 2 employees, do you go down to 1? Mm-hmm. And what about employees that are already making $12? Do they get an increase? So those kind of things have to be considered. So I don't agree with increasing the minimum wage. I definitely don't agree with the severance tax. There's the issue with the state police. That wasn't mentioned, I don't think, during the budget address, but that's one of the proposals that's in the budget, and that's to charge $8 per capita for municipalities that use the state police, like many of those here in Indiana County. So all those questions have to be answered. But the bottom line is we have to be physically responsible with the taxpayer dollars and not spend what we don't have.
That issue with the state police is a big one.
Yes,
we had that story yesterday on our news, and we broke down the numbers for each municipality in Indiana mm-hmm. County, and the governor's proposal this time is not just for the largest, it's for all. And it's not a flat rate. It's a gradually increasing. It's a stepped thing.
Yes, and I think some of the numbers that I heard, an individual home could pay up to $160. That's a lot more than the $25 that was proposed a couple of years ago. So, that's the beauty of it, I guess, Todd, is that's the checks and balances that are in place. That's why we have the Appropriations Committee to dig into these numbers. Next week we start the budget hearings, and again, I'm very excited to be part of that committee. It's a unique opportunity for me as a freshman to really understand the inner workings and to play a role in keeping this administration in check.
Budget always seems to be the thing that commands the most attention in Harrisburg, but there are other things that you are doing in Harrisburg, things that you would like to get done. There's local meetings that you'd like to get scheduled, community meetings, I know. What's on your agenda?
Well, I'm very excited that we are going to have our first open house next Friday at our district office here at 550 Philadelphia Street. That's going to be Friday, February 15th from 2 to 5 p.m. So I encourage anyone who wants to stop in, come and meet the staff, meet me, share your concerns, find out what we're working on. We have an open door, as you know, like I did at the chamber. I'm here to represent the people of Indiana County. So any concerns that you have, whatever they may be, stop in and let us know and see if we can help. But it's exciting for me to have the opportunity to really make a difference, Todd. I'm working on trying to write some legislation to help with the opioid crisis, with addiction issues. Obviously, as I said earlier, we're working on property taxes. There's some things I want to do related to workforce and education. I continue to use the resources I have back here in Indiana County to sort of vet the ideas that I have, to vet some of the legislation that I see coming through, to make sure that what I sign on for as a co-sponsor or what I create as legislation directly benefits the people in Indiana County. So I think it's important that people come out to our open house, contact me. You can find me on the internet at repstruzzi.com or on Facebook. Shoot me an email. I'm accessible. I want to be accessible, and I want to help.
And you know your way around the Capitol now.
I'm getting there anyway. It's a big building, it's a big place, but I do feel there's a genuine interest from a lot of representatives across the Commonwealth to really this session make a difference for the people. There's a lot of bills that I see coming through that relate to children and youth, to relate to mental health issues, relate to workforce, relate to tax relief for senior citizens, and all those things that we need here in Indiana County.
One of the interesting things to me about this past 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year,
yes,
is the fact that in Indiana County, the number of people who are decision makers, who are policy setters, there's a big turnover going on. Senator White is retiring.
Yes.
County commissioners, 2 of the 3 are not going to run again. Of course, you taking over for Representative Reed. There's a big sea change going on in Indiana County, isn't there?
There certainly is, Todd. It's going to be a different climate here, in the next few months. I'm excited to be part of that transition, and I thank Senator White for his many years of service. Dawn has been a great mentor to me, a great advisor, and I was looking forward to working with him in the Senate. But I know that his successor, whoever that may be, I'll work with them to make sure that things happen. I'm on the insurance committee as well. So Dawn was a big player in the insurance as far as the Senate side of things. So we're hoping to see that continue. My other committees, just to mention them, Todd, are Human Services, which relates directly to getting things done to help with children and youth, to help with many of the people who are struggling here in Indiana County. Also directly related to the opioid crisis. I just met with one of the executive directors yesterday to hopefully draft some legislation to help with some of the things that are happening through the Indiana Clarion and Armstrong Drug and Alcohol Task Force to help them continue their good work. Obviously, with Commissioner Ruddick and Commissioner Baker announcing, that's a shock, I think, to a lot of us. But both of them have been valiant servants of the public interest here in Indiana County. So hopefully we get some good candidates to step up for those positions. But where a door closes, one opens. So hopefully we get some good people in there with a lot of good energy that want to do some good things for us here locally.
There you go. And you're off now at the United Way campaign wrap-up breakfast. Thanks for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Todd.
He is State Representative Jim Struzzi with us here this morning on Indiana in the